Why is this pepper so angry? Is it teething? Well, let's find the right knife, cut into it, and find out.
Do you break into a sweat with even the thought of having company? I'm here to help. After trying just a few of my hosting tips, you'll be more than ready to say, come on over.
How many times have you been at someone's house and you're searching for a knife, and when you do finally find one, it's not sharp, it's not the right kind of knife? Well, you can solve that by buying a set. Now, we'll get into why the right kind of knife is important in a second, but let's talk about the set. This is a Cutco set, one of the smaller sets. Cutco knives are super sharp. They're really, really good knives. There's a variety and they are guaranteed for a lifetime. So if one breaks, you send it in, they send you a new one.
This is a disaster. I distinctly ordered the Leonard Nimoy Mr. Spock cardboard standee.
I got these about 10 years ago. They're not cheap, and I was on a payment plan, and it was worth every penny. Why? Because there are all kinds of knives that you can think of. A bread knife. Let's look at this bread knife. Serrated edge, piece of bread. Look how beautifully it cuts through this bread. It's not tearing the bread. It made a really sharp cut through there. Very flat, put it back together, done. So whoever designs these, they do a lot of research on why a knife works for what it needs to work for. Let's explore some more. Here is another serrated knife with a point.
That's not a knife. That's a knife.
I use this for cutting up vegetables sometimes. I often will use, this is my go-to knife, the smaller version of this. And so let's say I'm going to cut up some celery here. It's serrated so it cuts right through. Now I could take the paring knife and I could use that also. Cuts through. Celery is pretty forgiving. You can use just about any knife on it. It's going to work. Jimmy loves this knife. Yes, this would be your shower scene. Stab them in the shower. We don't do that in the come on over house, but he uses this for vegetables. You can see that it cuts right through, makes that nice satisfying cut. It works great on firmer vegetables like a carrot, but it is not as fine of a blade as the other knives. This, if I were going to choose a knife because someone was breaking into my house, I needed to defend myself, this would be it. I mean, this looks wicked. It's got a point. You'll notice it is not serrated. This is good for times that you don't need a serrated edge. You could use it on vegetables. Gives a little resistance because it's not serrated. You could use it for meats. You could use it for, I just experiment really. I'm sure it has a legit name, but I just use the knife I think will work best. Then we have another version, of this knife. Smaller version, works great. We have a serrated edge flat knife. You could frost with this, but I use this to cut into brownies and small cakes. It's wonderful, coffee cakes. Then, perhaps the best part of this set, the scissors. These will cut through rope.
Hey guys, check this out.
Oh, go back! Oh, go back!
But even better, they come apart to go into the dishwasher or just to clean in the sink. And then you put them back together and back it goes. Now this block is also awesome because each area here is designed for the knife. Then we have the steak knives. I love these little steak knives. Sometimes I use these for chopping. If the other one's in the dishwasher, see, it works, serrated edge. I could use this on my bread also. It tears more than cuts, but it's usable. The set also comes with other items like a meat fork. And then this little 3-pronged fork, I have no idea what it's for, never used it, but it's kind of cute.
Oh, so cute!
And other items if you get a bigger set. Now another set that I like, not Cutco, would be the Rada knife. You've probably seen these. It says right on the holder, high carbon stainless. It's Rada cutlery. I use these for finer jobs. I can pick them up. Sometimes they have them at stores like a market. Sometimes churches sell them with their cookbooks, and sometimes you can get them at a flea market. And that's where I really like to look because there's so much variety. But I stick to 3 or 4 of these knives. My very favorite knife is the tomato knife.
I wanted to play mousetrap. You roll your dice, you move your mice. Nobody gets hurt.
Now, I'm sure you're thinking, well, can't you just cut the tomato with any knife? You can, but it won't cut like this. So let's take a little look. It cuts the finest shaving of a tomato. You can go thicker too, but you'll notice it's not pulling the skin. The edge, the serrated edge on this is wider than, say, this knife. Let's try this knife. I'm cutting, it's going through, it's not bad, it's pulling a little bit. So could you just use a Cutco knife? Yes, but you're not going to order just one Cutco knife. You can get one tomato knife specifically for tomatoes and do the job. Then there is a paring knife that is curved. And when I first saw this, I thought, what do I do with this? Well, let's peel a kiwi. Do you see how it's curved? So it will do like the finest cut into the kiwi. It's not dragging, it's not, I can get just the outer edge. I'm not wasting any of the kiwi. It's getting right down to the best part of the kiwi. Wonderful knife. The other paring knife looks like this, and this is probably one of their best sellers. It is super sharp and very fine. And so it will cut also anything like a carrot and a celery. Celery, always, you can use almost any knife on celery. It will cut the tomato, but it will pull on it a bit. This knife I use for finer jobs, and I used to use this on the kiwi, but see, it doesn't want to pick up like the other one, and it's not curved, and I have to work a little harder. Why work harder when you've got a knife that will actually do the job for you the easiest way? Now, any of these knives can be used on an onion, and perhaps dicing up an onion is one of my least favorite things to do. I have a sous chef in the house named Jimmy, and so he's in charge usually of this kind of thing, and I let him use whatever knife he wants to because he's cutting up the onion for me. But because it's a fine skin, anything with a pointed tip and a sharp blade will cut your tomato. Now let's find out what's wrong with our poor Pepper. He's so angry, he's teething. So on this, I would use either the tomato knife or just the paring knife. See, I can get right in there. It's super sharp. I'm not wasting any of this pepper. I'm just cutting right in. Let's try the tomato knife. I've used it before. It also cuts in, but it's too much of a gap between there. And I know I'm being pretty picky here, super picky.
You know something? Nothing for you! Come back 1 year!
But when you have the right tools, when you have the right knives, you can experiment and find out which knife actually works best for the job you're going for. So if you have bread and you have a bread knife, grab the bread knife. You know that's going to work. If you have a tomato and you have a tomato knife, grab the tomato knife. You know that's what it's for. But if it's not specific like that, you can just experiment, and pretty soon you will find out exactly which knife makes your job easier. Now here's a bonus tool.
Your bonus.
My bonus.
This is the Rada carrot peeler. It is by far the best carrot peeler I have ever used. It is not cheaply constructed like the ones that you find in the bonus aisle at the grocery store that have the plastic handle. No, stainless steel. It never goes through the carrot without cutting, ever. I'm not putting any pressure on, you know, those cheap ones where you have to kind of press down and hope you don't cut your finger? Yeah, not gonna happen here. I'm not even giving it any pressure whatsoever. And look at that, beautifully cut Rada. So if you're out to spend a little money on knives, my recommendations would be Cutco, get the largest set you can afford, and Rada, get the finest blade that you can. I get mine I started my set at church functions, you know, where they sell them, but you can get them at, what is the place called? Where you go to the fairgrounds. You go to the fairgrounds and the flea market. Oh my word. I'm like, something that's an animal, it's a fly, it's a bug. It is the best cutlery. I don't even know what that word was.
3, 2, wait.
3, 2, wait. He got all the way to 2.
Come on over. Now go make someone feel special today.